Arkansas, coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Well, I have several interviews coming up. Diana is going to come back on and talk with us again. She feels that people need to know that there are Bigfoot, Lugaroos, Dogman, and stuff like that in the woods. And even though the comments were really bad on her video because of the kid crying and what have you, she decided that it would be a good thing for her to still share. And so she's going to come back on, and I may be able to speak with her tomorrow. And let me see here. Q will come back on at some point, and I'm working on some other stories that are pretty interesting too. Some other Bigfoot encounters and stuff like that, and even other type stories. But today I have a story someone sent me, and this is really interesting, so I just got to share this with you, and I figured this would be a good little video to tide everybody over until the interviews happen and what have you. So I'm going to read this, and this girl goes by Cat, so we're just going to call her Cat. I mean, her whole name's on it, but I'm going to call her Cat, and I'm trying to get her to come on and tell her story. This is very interesting, so please stick around and listen. This is a really interesting Dogman story for sure. Anyway, she starts out, "Hi, Brenton. I found it very interesting about Q and his experiences with Bigfoot. He was hyperventilating very badly. I felt for him. It seems like he still hasn't got a grip on the reality of his encounters, even though he continues to study them, or should I say he actually forced to study them because of his situation. As I heard him hyperventilate, I remembered my encounters with Dogman. I've spoken to Vic about it. He was the first person I contacted. I haven't gone on his show yet, kinda still trying to process it all. I have also started to recall other details, but they're sketchy. And I listen to a lot of your shows, Brenton. Some I can't because it scares me too much." And basically she goes on to talk a little bit about that kind of stuff. "But the Bigfoot and Dogman stories I like to listen to. My encounters with Dogman were not threatening, and they did not attack me or use a bluff charge on me. I was scared at times with them, but they never harmed me or let me get hurt. I'll tell you what I remember." So anyway, she basically, before I start her story, she was I guess she experienced some PTSD similar to what Q experienced. And in his stories, he has part 1 and part 2 of the tribe of Sasquatch. You can see or hear in his voice the shakiness and the trauma that he basically had from these things. And sometimes the severe trauma can cause you not to remember things. And I know that from my own case that, you kind of block it out for a while and you remember it a little later. I know that for a fact because I experienced that myself. Not that I forgot, but I pushed it away and didn't think about it. Anyway, it says, let me scroll up here. You'll like this story. My family used to go to this cabin with this other family into New Hampshire. I forgot the town. I was thinking today I wanted to ask my mom where it was exactly. Well, my brother and I would take this path to the pond and go swimming. There was this other path that led to an open field of tall grass. Well, one day I was bored and wanted to go toward the field, and took that path. My brother went swimming, and I told him I didn't want to go. I think I was about 7 or 8 years old. Somewhere around there, anyway. So I saw a group of trees in a line, 2 to 3 rows. So I walked there and was looking at the leaves and the tree bark. I love trees, so as I was looking at a tree on the path's edge, I heard something walking in the leaves. I poked my head around the tree trunk to see what I thought was a wolf. It was on all fours, and it stopped when I poked my head out to look. I hid behind the tree trunk, hoping it would leave, but it kept coming. So as it got to the tree I was at, it turned its head toward me, and I looked at it, and it looked at me. It didn't do anything except to lock eyes with mine. I turned around and was holding onto the tree trunk and turned to face it. I slipped on the root of the tree and looked down, and the roots were big. I stepped over them to get closer to this wolf. That was what I thought it was. Mind you, I had never seen a wolf in the flesh, but at that age, that's what I thought it was. It had a very pronounced brow ridge, and the eyes were deep set. The muzzle was wrinkly, and I was so close I could see the guard hairs, like on the muzzle of the dog. The skin was black on the muzzle. Its eyes were black, and with some white in the corner, and some when it moved its eyes I could see the white. It had a big mane around its neck, and the fur was soft because I started playing with it, patting it. Brenton, this seems so bizarre. It sounds like I'm a mental patient or something. I feel stupid telling you this. Well, anyway, oh my God, I can't believe no one has told us that these things exist. Let me see if I can continue. Ugh. I guess I'm not as settled with it as I thought it was. But anyway, I remember looking it over to the back. I don't remember a tail. The ears were straight up and pointy like a Doberman's. The mane continued partway down its back. I remember trying to run my fingers through the fur, but it would not go. It was matted somewhat, and the back legs looked like a dog. As I pat this wolf, it started to pant like a dog, and partially close its eyes like a dog when it likes your touch. I remember thinking, I'd like to ride it, but it was maybe, I don't know, 4.5 feet from the ground. Its back was high enough that I could not get on it easily. I'm not sure if I tried to get on him or her. I don't know what sex it was, being that age. I didn't think of that. I wanted to touch its muzzle. The skin on it looked soft, and I wanted to feel it, but it started to pull away from me. It also started to growl, and it also was trying to send fear to me, which I was not afraid of it. So as I felt that fear coming toward me, I immediately rejected it. It kept growling at me, and I didn't say, and it did something that was very strange. So basically, it was growling and everything, and then it did something that she's saying is very strange looking. Okay, you know when someone wants to get going and they don't talk but cock their head into that direction they want you to go? Well, this wolf did that to me, and I could tell this thing was very intelligent. He or she cocked their head 3 times. Maybe once I would have thought it was just a coincidence, but 3 times? So it kind of cocked its head to the side 3 times, like, go that way or something. Like, get out of here. She said, well, I started to cry, and not because I was afraid. It was because he or she was rejecting me and wanted me to leave. I started to run, but didn't get too far because I was falling over tree roots and banging up my shins in the process. So I tripped and fell over and landed in a pile of leaves. I was crying into the leaves and I heard someone calling me. It was my brother. He was looking for me because it was dinner time. The sun was going down and I was facing west when my brother came up. Before I got up to say I was here, I looked back and the wolf was gone. My mom was asking me where I was, and I didn't want to tell her because I knew if I told her I found an animal and I was touching it, she would be very mad at me. But me and my mom didn't really have a great relationship, so I guess to piss her off, I told her I found a wolf and was patting it. My mom's friend who owned the cabin was very interested and concerned about what I told them. They were cooking and setting the table. My mom's friend called in her husband and told me to tell him what I saw. I told him I saw a wolf and I was patting it. He said, there are no wolves in New Hampshire. Then he looked like he was second guessing himself and said, look, I'll call a buddy of mine and double check. Then he said, as he turned to leave the room, I hope there's no wolves because I'm going deer hunting. Well, trying to keep this short as I can, other people showed up at the cabin, so that meant kids go outside into tents. I was horrified. I hated the dark. Me and my brother slept in the tent the first night. I heard footsteps in the night and cowered under the sleeping bag. I woke my brother, but he woke and didn't hear anything, so I slept close to him and sleeping under the covers. I was supposed to sleep in the tent with my brother the second night, but he got invited to the boys' tent, and the girls were not allowed, so that meant me alone in a tent. The teenage girl that had come to visit, she offered to sleep with me. I felt relieved, but still afraid to be in the dark in a tent. Well, we stayed up talking till about 11 p.m. Then she said she wanted to go to sleep, which made me fearful because the night before I had heard bipedal steps and all I could think of was an axe murderer coming to get me, not a dogman. Well, I laid there for a while and she fell asleep. I heard the footsteps again and tried to wake her, but she told me to stop. Then she fell asleep fully, and I laid awake hearing quadrupedal steps and bipedal steps. At first I thought it was someone with their dog, but the animal came up to the tent and started sniffing along the outside edge on the bottom of the tent. You know, when a dog sniffs hard and long and snorts. That's what I heard, and it was a large animal. As it rounded the tent, it got to me, and it pushed its nose into my back because I was up against the tent wall because the tent was very small. It sniffed and then started to push me and started rocking me back and forth. As it did this, I was getting anxious and lost my mind and sat up and screamed like bloody murder was happening. I opened the tent and ran to the cabin door and pounded on it till someone opened it. My mom's friend opened it, and then my mom came out yelling at me. What was the matter? I told her an animal was outside pushing me in the tent. She didn't believe me. She tried to force me out there again. I fought her off and told her I was not going outside. She said, where are you going to sleep? I told her on the floor, if I have to. Well, she didn't want to fight with me anymore and went to bed. I heard the wolf outside, at least that's what I think it was. Also, when I was looking up from outside in the tent, I saw a big shadow reflect on the tent. It was a giant dogman. There were two dogmen. I believe the black one I encountered came looking for me and found me in the tent. Also, my brother and friend's son made fun of me and said I was a liar and there was no wolves in New Hampshire. Anyone I told the story to made fun of me, so I just stopped trying to tell people. I never knew it was a dogman until I heard Vic's show, Dogman Encounters. Also, I remember more of my encounter. I'm not sure if it was in the same 2 weeks I stayed in that cabin or when I returned back there, but when I was alone and playing by myself, I would hear something following me. If I ran, it would run close behind off the trail in the bushes that lined the path. Also, I would hear one on the other side of me following close. I remember one time running and getting to the end of the bushes and the black one popping out. The other one came out too on the other side, but it was much bigger and it stood on 2 legs like a man. I only saw the black one stand one time, and it was not as large as the other, and that one was a sandy color. I was afraid of that one and never wanted to make eye contact with it, so I would cling to the black one and stay close. That day they led me to a field, and I was running and playing. I remember laughing and giggling. I lost track of time and I was lost. We had traveled far from the path, and we were in some pine trees near a hill. It was getting dark, but the sun had not yet gone down. When I realized it was late, I started to panic. So basically, these dogmen led her way out there, away from the cabin, and she realized that it was starting to get late, and she was pretty far away. Makes you wonder what they were trying to do. I told them I had to get home. They followed me as I ran to find the way back. Then the black one ran ahead, and I followed it. I recognized the field that I was near, the path, and I took, and the trees, and then the other path to the cabin. As I got closer, I heard some people shouting my name. My father's friend saw me and came running up and asked where I had been. I told him lost. My mom came up and grabbed me, hurting me and yelling, where was I? I told her I got lost and then found the path. I don't think she believed me. The dogmen were gone after I heard the callings of people. I remember not wanting to go back to the cabin. My family said they were going back, and I didn't want to. I'm not sure how many times I went there or if I went back, but I convinced my brother to help me find a picture of a wolf. I told him it was a black one. He showed me pictures, all kinds of pictures, gray, white, sandy. But when he showed me a picture of a black one, I was puzzled. It did not look anything like the one I encountered. He gave up after he saw my face, and he told me he didn't know and to forget about it, so I did. Until I saw Vic's channel, She basically forgot about it until she saw Vic's channel. Thank you for your time. Hopefully I didn't sound like a complete idiot. God bless. Cat. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting story. Don't quite know what to make of it. It's just quite bizarre. It almost seems like the Dogman were trying to win her over. And man, that friendly stuff, I don't know if I believe that too much. But anyway, it seemed like they were befriending her. And then they, when she said that the one was like, it cocked its head 3 times, like it was saying go, and it was growling. I don't know. It makes me wonder if it was growling because it was trying to project fear like she thought it was, or if maybe the other Dogman that was bigger and sandy colored, if it was coming and this particular one wanted her to go before it came. Interesting. And then coming to the tent, it almost seems like they were trying to nudge her, saying, come on, get out of the tent, come talk to us. And then leading her out through these fields to another woods and stuff like that. Dang, that's some risky business there. Yeah, so I really don't know what to think about it. That's just kind of my thoughts. Very interesting, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what you all think about that, but very, very interesting. I think maybe she has more details that she's kind of recalling because there might even have been something very traumatic that happened that's causing her not to remember it. But then again, it was traumatic when she was in the tent. She had some rejection issues there. Almost sounds kind of dreamlike in a way. Very, very unusual case. I'm not saying it's a dream. I believe it really happened. But it makes you wonder how intelligent these dogmen are and what they knew, because it seems like they played into some other emotional states that maybe that this girl had already. I don't know. If I get to talk to her in person, I'll fish some of those things out. But yeah, very unusual case. I had another person send. Speaking of dreams, I think her case really happened, but I had another person that sent a story of being attacked by a coyote man. They said it looked like a coyote or a fox. Yeah, a fox, that's it. And this fox would come into their dream and choke them and stuff like that. And they were terrorized in the dream state by these creatures. And I don't know why people sometimes send me these dream stories. I guess maybe because I've said before in the past that they're, supernatural entities can attack you in dreams, because we know that in the scriptures, angels went to people in dreams and gave them messages. So if angels can go to you in a dream, could a demon go to you in a dream, or a fallen angel go to you inside a dream? Did maybe a dogman attack this particular person inside a dream? This person said that the coyote had choked them and was almost like arrogant about it. And, it was a very unusual case, that's for sure. I had one other person that on a Sasquatch encounter in Alabama. They were in the Boy Scouts, and them and this guy and a friend was walking along the road. They were at this Boy Scout camp, and they looked over to the woods, and they seen red glowing eyes, and they was looking at these eyes, and it kind of freaked them out a little bit, where it was staring at them, and they didn't really know what it was because the eyes were up off the ground pretty good. So they started kind of walking down the road there, and and it started trailing them off. Like she was saying that the dogmen were doing. It seems like that's kind of a regular thing. They would, when you walk, they would walk. Either one or two, sometimes on both sides, but a lot of times they'll say something's pacing them with their exact steps, and when they stop, it would stop, like it's trying to mask its steps. But anyway, they were going on down the road, and the thing was pacing them. They would stop, and they ended up getting spooked, so they take off running, and there's this bridge up ahead, and they run as fast as they can, and they hear the thing running in the woods. And when they go across this bridge, they get to the bridge, and they're going across the bridge. They heard this thing come out of the woods, and they heard a thud on the other side of this river. I don't know how wide the river was. I think he said something like 40 feet, something like that. So this thing basically came crashing out of the woods, and they heard it hit on the other side of the river, like bam. But they kept running. They were very scared. Got back to their Boy Scout trip there, and then another night while they were there at the camp, they saw these red eyes up in the tree, and him and his friend was like looking at the red eyes that was in the tree, and they was like, look, see these red eyes, and a few other people gathers around, and next thing you know, there was a small group of them looking at this thing up in the tree. It was dark, so they couldn't really tell exactly what it was until the thing decides to jump from the tree, and it was on up in the tree a good ways, they said, and it basically stuck its arms out to the side like made a cross, like, stuck his arms out, and it jumps out of the tree with his arms straight out, cracking through the limbs, like it was put his arms out to be able to hit the branches and slow its descent, because it was, like 50, 60 feet up in the air, and jumping that far, I don't care how bad to the bone you are, that might hurt you. But he said that it crashed through the tree limbs with his arms out like that, hit the ground, and went pow, was gone really fast. And when they told, the people at the camp, that group of kids would have told the people at the camp, the people at the camp basically made up a story and told them, oh, that was a guy in a suit that had done that. Some dude in a suit that's going to jump out 50, 60 feet up in the air, jump out of a tree to try to trick some kids. I don't think so. A dude in a suit that could jump over a 30, 40-foot river. I don't think so. So that don't fly with me. But anyway, I thought that was a very interesting encounter. Anyway, what do you all think? Let me know. And I'll get some more interviews for you soon. Got lots of interesting stuff coming up. And can't wait to get Diana back on and Q back on, and a few other people back on. And I got a new guy. His name's Kevin. That's all I'm gonna say right now, because I haven't really asked him about sharing his name, but I think he's cool with sharing his name because he's a researcher. And he's got an interesting encounter too, and kind of ties into some infrasound stuff and the forgetting thing. Some very interesting stuff that he told me about. He got hit or zapped kind of deal with the infrasound, and him and his friend made it almost all the way home, and then they was like, do you remember what happened? Kind of deal. He can explain it better. I don't want to spoil it, but they basically had an encounter and then didn't say nothing to each other and got almost all the way home, a couple of hours later, basically, and then recalled what happened, like they had forgotten it. He said that was so strange, like it just mind messed us up, he said something else. He's like, mind screwed me. And I told him, I said I thought it might have been infrasound, and some very interesting stuff. I don't want to give it all away, but there was some other interesting stuff that he was talking about that I've been thinking for a while about how light plays on the fur of these creatures, and I think that helps them be able to camouflage. And some people have theory that not just the light playing off of the fur, but that they can do something with infrasound too that can make have a reaction with the water in the atmosphere, the water in them, or whatever. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but they think that the infrasound that they can make actually can cloak them somehow. I don't know. That's an interesting thought, but I do think the fur, when light hits it, because this guy's encounter, Kevin's encounter, or Keith, I think, or was it Kevin? Okay, it's Kevin. Hope I said Kevin a minute ago. Yeah, Kevin. His encounter, the moonlight hit it, and very interesting play off of light when it hit the fur. Anyway, I hope to have him on. I'll be talking with him in a day or so, and as soon as I do, I'll get him on the show and I'll get that posted for you. Anyway, appreciate y'all listening, and hope you like the stories here. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next video. I plan on going down to Louisiana sometime and going and checking out that location at Diana's. And so if anybody wants to help me with going there sooner and wants to contribute toward that expedition, or just to help me make videos or whatever you want to do with contributions, you can do that at brentonsong@gmail.com as my PayPal. And then also you can go to Facebook and donate on the donate button there on Facebook, Mysteries to Search. And you can click on the little icon, Facebook icon on my YouTube channel. If you're on a cell phone, I think it's on the in the About section. And it takes you to Facebook, and you can help me there. See you on next video. God bless. Bye-bye.